Hey, what's up, guys? I'm JP, and right here with me is Garrett. We have been coaching with Todd for about 2 years, and Garrett has been coaching with Todd for about a year now. And we've pretty much been traveling for the exact same amount of time, and we've been coaching guys. We've kind of getting a feel for what it is to coach. We've both been in game for a really long time, both of us like 6 years,
since
right?
2011 and shit. Like,
yeah, we've both been in this shit for a while.
Yeah.
And so we actually asked Todd if this is going to be something we kind of wanted to give our own perspective into game, because we have very different views in game. We look at different things, and so we always want to offer our audience like a different perspective, because not everyone looks at things the same. For example, me and Garrett, we don't even look at the things the same, and we're kind of like the same age. We just kind of, neither of us are right or wrong. We just kind of do our own thing, and whatever works for us. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce Garrett and let him talk about his game a little bit, what's kind of been happening to him recently, and see where he takes from there.
All right, so the biggest thing that I've been noticing lately is so we've like pretty much breathe, eat, live, pick up.
Seriously.
Like pretty like nonstop. It's kind of ridiculous. But what we've been noticing lately is I've been doing more dates more than anything, and I think JP has been doing the same thing as well. And what I've noticed is I come off across on my dates more relationship-y than anything. Not as it like I'm gonna be like the provider, like boyfriend, but more along the lines of it's probably not gonna be like a one-night stand. Like I create like these wifeys, so to speak. Girls that they have good impressions. So what I've been noticing lately is this week I had 4 dates. 3 of them were complete bamboozlements. Now what bamboozlements are is it seems like it's going to go well. It seems like it's going to be a successful date. Like it's in the bag, and then all of a sudden you don't get laid. And that happened 3 straight times, and I was like completely confused because it was just going so well. We're at the bar, we're laughing. It's like she's qualifying herself. It's an amazing experience. And then I pull her here, no problem, no like, oh, like I have to go, none of this shit. And we get back here, and we even do like pretty much everything you can do other than sex. But when it came down to actual sex, they weren't having it for whatever fucking reason. And me and JP were like sitting down, we're actually thinking about it, like, why is this the case? Like these girls were super down, they really liked me, and I just couldn't, like, even if it was like a sexual thing, like they made me come multiple times and shit, like,
yeah,
like goddamn, like we didn't have sex, but like hand jobs and all this, like they didn't give a fuck. But when it came to like pulling down the pants or like taking off the shoes, all of a sudden it's like, oh no. I'm like, okay, so I'll back off a little bit, chill a couple minutes, and then go back in, and it's the same shit. So we sat down and we talked about it for like hours, and it came down to we didn't really know. Like it could have been that they were trying to, make me a boyfriend or something. It could have been maybe it was just too much, whatever the case is. But we actually started thinking that because he does day game a lot, what he notices is when he pulls girls in like sundresses, especially like in the summer, or like if they've been walking around doing all these things lately. What is it actually that you told me before about like the whole like sweating thing? And
yeah, so sometimes I'll usually pull girls from day game, and I've kind of noticed this when I bring them back to the bed. Sometimes they're like uncomfortable because some girls are just gonna say, oh well, I don't know, like I didn't shave down there. Like they're uncomfortable about the odors. They've been walking around all day, they've been sweating and things like that. And so they think they smell bad, so I get them in the bed, and they're like, oh, they may not say anything. They just might give me like...
That's the biggest thing. I think that's the biggest... They won't say anything.
Yeah.
So you think that it's something on your end that you're fucking up. So you're like escalating, like, yeah, it's about to go down, this and that. And all of a sudden she's like, no. And you're like, oh, shit, did my attraction fuck up? Did I not build enough comfort? Any of this shit? But what he started to notice was they may just like be completely like self-conscious about their smell. Or that they're like didn't shave because they weren't expecting on getting picked up, And what I noticed in my particular date, so that happened 3 times, and then so we decided to do a date with another one. Same girl, it was like the second one, and went on the date, went super well. came back to the room and she was escalating on me, which completely threw me off. I was like, holy shit, like what's going on here? And it could have been that she didn't shave her legs. She could have like the wrong, like she could have like the nasty panties on, like just the chill panties instead of like the hot ones. She could have been on her period. That's a big one. Could have been a multitude of things.
Yeah, I agree. I think for some reason girls are just they don't always want to have sex. They're not in the mood. Sometimes they're just not prepared. I think in the case with Garrett, the girl was she was more ready to have sex this time, so she's escalating on him. She's more comfortable doing it, so it goes down. But I kind of just wanted to ask Garrett about we have two very different styles of game where we've actually sat down and talked about it. Garrett is more I guess, how would you say? What would you call your game? Like, what would you say it is?
I would say
if you could put it in one adjective.
Fuck. Adjective? What's adjective again?
God dang.
Verb.
We got a fucking
person, place, thing.
God.
It's, man, I would say it's.
Or you know what? Better question. What do girls see you as?
Fuck. It's hard to describe. Like, I like to see myself as like the attractive guy that they just can't find anywhere else. Like, I'm extremely nice, but at the same time, like, I'm always teasing, I'm always leading, I'm always doing like masculine things, and it's like this really nice balance. But I'm never like a dick. I'm a dick like jokingly, but I'm never like, I never understood like the asshole game. Like, I did that a few times and I got a few pulls from that, but then afterwards I'm like, this isn't fun. Like, I have to be serious the whole time. Like, I'm like, bleh, bleh. I'm like, that's not fun for me. So I really started focused on creating like actual good relationships. And so now it feels like when the girl leaves, she's happy with the experience and she's willing to she's eager to meet up again. And I think that's what I'm like aiming for my game. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the one thing me and Garrett do have in common is that we don't like treating girls like shit. I hear him say repeatedly over time, like, you can kind of tell where a guy's game is at just by hearing the way he describes girls and the way he like describes his pulls. And I never hear Garrett say, oh, well, fuck, I tried to pull like super, I didn't care what she felt. Most students that we get, they actually get that. And funny enough, a lot of these coaches that we see, like these instructors out here, they're very concerned about just getting to sex on their own. Like, they don't really care about the girl. And I think that's one thing that me and Garrett have in common is the fact that I very much as him, we kind of both care about where the girl is at. We want the girl to have a good time, but we just do it in different ways. Where my style is, I don't really go the relationshipy route. I'm very quiet in my sets. I'm very calm. I'm very grounded and very centered in my sets. And I let the girl do a lot of the talking, so she's investing a lot more. She's telling me about herself, and then I kind of qualify her here and there, and then so she just feels like she's chasing me, and I'm not really doing much. But like I said, we both obviously get laid. We do our thing.
So the whole point of this is to don't jump to conclusions on why things are happening the way they're happening. I think a lot of guys, they like to immediately point to themselves when things go awry, when things go not as planned. And although that's good because you're being, forces introspection, you're seeing where you fucked up, to think that that's going to be the case 100% of the time is absolutely insane. There's going to be times where it's on the girl, where it's something that the girl did, or something that the girl is, that's something that's completely out of your control. Like, you did everything, you could have done everything right in your ability, but it didn't happen for a completely separate reason. I think that's the biggest thing that a lot of guys, they're still kind of stuck in this like me kind of thinking, and they're not taking consideration that maybe they did fine, that it was other variables outside of their control. And I think that just comes from a lot of biases that we may have growing up. So like, if you didn't get laid till you're like 20 years old or whatever, and then now you're doing cold approach, and then you finally bring a girl back, and then she's just like, no, I don't want to have sex, and then all of a sudden she just like calls an Uber and then just leaves. you're gonna be sitting there thinking like, oh, I'm a piece of shit. Like, my pastor's right. Like, fuck, you know.
Your pastor?
God dang. My past was right.
past.
You know,
Like,
my pastor was right too. Fucking the bishop.
Yeah.
But that's not always the case. You got to look at other angles, look at it from different perspectives, even talk to other guys that game, because there's always other reasons, there's always other things that could be the possibility.
So, I guess let's talk about one instance where we had this, because I'm just thinking of one. Okay, so one, we're gonna wrap this up, and I'm gonna go ahead and give you like an instance of when this happened to me, and Garrett's also gonna wrap up and tell you, like, you know, what are some of these instances that this may occur. I want to say about a week ago, I ended up pulling this girl, and I met her in Union Square, and then I pulled her all the way down here, like Highline, but it was just kind of like baby stepping it. And I was like circling. I was in my head. I was like, well, why isn't this girl trying to come home with me? I passed by the door, and she just wasn't trying to come up. I went to the Highline. We built like all this comfort and doing all this thing, but she just didn't want to come home. And it turns out that this girl has a boyfriend, and I had no idea. So I'm actually supposed to be meeting up with this girl, like I think on Thursday or something like that. But the thing is, had she not told me that, I'm always just kind of like in my head, if you're not really worried about where the girl is at, you won't really pick up on these things. So I kind of got the vibe that this girl has a boyfriend. She's like telling me like all these things. Like she would use the word like a friend. There's this guy that I like and things like that. And so I came to the conclusion, okay, this girl has a boyfriend. All right, whatever. I'll do the slow game with that. So one of the things that we also kind of wanted to talk about is a thing that kind of I noticed it's a reoccurring thing. Kind of happens through, and I don't know if this happens a lot through night game, but I do a lot of day game, and girls aren't usually as prepared for sex as they are for night game. They may go out during night game and, you know, they wear the sexy panties. You know, they go to Victoria's Secret and buy the sexy shit.
Shave all inches of their body.
Exactly. They're extremely prepared. As a matter of fact, they kind of go out and they're like, all right, well, I want to go get fucked. And they leave with that mentality. Whereas in day game, they may just say, okay, I'm going to go grocery shop, or I'm going to go buy some food.
I'm going to go to Ross.
Exactly. I'm going to go return some stuff. And I don't really need to look cute to do it. I don't need to look sexy. And here I come, you know, out of nowhere. And then I pick them up and then we're in our bed. But I have noticed that sometimes when I do get these girls back home, we're in the bed and they just kind of stop me. Like, they're super turned on. They're letting me like make out with them. Their tops off. We're just completely naked, except, you know, obviously like their pants are still on or something like that. There's always that one weird thing. And then the girl's just like, no, like we have to stop there. Now most pickup guys are gonna tell you, well, it's because you're doing something wrong, like LMR, like she has like slut resistance. What, I don't even know what the pickup terms are, to be honest with you. But
attraction, no, it's like attraction or
yeah,
the comfort, something
exactly.
like that is fucked up. Like,
it's like build more comfort and do the fucking twirly twist thing that you got to do. And it's like sometimes, to be honest with you, it's just that the girl feels very uncomfortable because she's just not as prepared to have sex. So I have pulled girls back and they're just like, no. And I'm like, all right, you know what? It's fine. It's no big deal. Like I've you know, I don't say like, oh, I've done this before. I just kind of say, no, okay, it's fine, no big deal. I kind of roll over. And then funny enough, the girl always asks me about the certain things that she's uncomfortable about. She may say like, oh, are you like, I actually get this one a lot. The girl may ask me like, are you more of an ass man or do you like a tits man? Like, do you like boobs or do you like ass more? And that just lets me know, depending on what layer of clothing the girl's wearing. If she's wearing her bra, she's probably uncomfortable at her like boob size. If she's wearing her jeans, she's probably uncomfortable at her like lower body. So some girls may just say, do you like boobs or do you like ass? And I may say, depending if she's still wearing her bra, I'm gonna say, oh, you know what? I like small titties. Like, I love small titties. I love small titties. And funny enough, that's the thing that makes the girl like feel comfortable, as long as she feels like you're not judging her. Also, you know, she may say, oh, well, like, have you ever, she may casually throw this in there. She's like, have you ever had sex with a girl on her period? And I'm like, oh man, so many times, like, you know, I don't really care, to be honest with you. And then that's the thing that gets her pants off.
And you know what I'm saying? You know what's huge too is the reason why this is so important is because guys will blindly try to shove game into whatever situation. Like for a situation like this, like, you know, she's not down, whatever the case may be. A lot of guys are gonna think, let me do the what is it called that they call it these days, the freeze away or like the freeze off or whatever it is, right?
Ice cold.
Yeah, so like you're escalating on her, you're in bed, this and that, making out, and all of a sudden she's just like, no, we can't. A lot of guys will actually try this because this is the actual game technique, is to just completely freeze off and just like roll over and just completely say, oh, just fuck it, whatever, and not look butthurt and like go do something else. In these cases, that would actually harm you. That would actually be detrimental to your set. So like if she actually wants to have sex, but she's like on her period, or she didn't shave her legs, or she's insecure about something, and then all of a sudden, like, you guys are, about to get it on and stuff, and she says that, and all of a sudden you just like roll away and like just start playing video games and shit, that situation would work in other situations, or that action would work in other situations, but not necessarily in this one.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is kind of you have to realize that it's a whole lot of it's a multitude of things that could happen when the girl just doesn't want to have sex with you. She could have a boyfriend. It's a lot of things. Like, I've encountered so many times where the girl's actually okay with having sex while she has a boyfriend, but she just kind of throws that in there as like, oh, well, like, would you be okay if I'm seeing other people or something like that? And you're like, okay. But she may just kind of throw it in there 10, 20, 30, 40 minutes later, and you'll find out that's the reason that's making her uncomfortable. So that's kind of what we want to talk about today. I think it's super important. I don't really do much. I don't know if you, like, we don't really get much LMR. I don't know, like,
Yeah.
LMR is pretty easy. I think the reason why we don't really get a lot of like LMR, especially, is because we kind of come off as kind of like congruent. We are who we are. We're not afraid to like show who we are. Especially, like, I know Garrett. He's always joking around with the girl. Garrett, to me, comes off as a very genuine, cool guy, and like, he just seems fun to be around. And so the girl kind of knows what she's getting when she's hanging out with Garrett. And so she likes that. She comes up here, and there's not really much LMR because, fuck it. It is what it is. Same with me. I come across as just, I am real. Like, I don't lie. It's just kind of, it is what it is. And, but in the instances that we do get LMR, it's usually because the girl's just uncomfortable. She's not ready for sex. Yeah. I've actually had girls that say like, hey, can I take a shower like right before sex or something like that? Or I don't know if you've had this happen. Like, how many, you guys are probably gonna relate to this a lot more, but like, when a girl says, do you mind if I use your bathroom?
Oh, yeah.
Like, that happens almost every single time before sex.
That happens a lot. If she,
exactly,
like, she may have to like go pee. She may like not be fresh.
Exactly.
She may need to like take out her tampon or whatever it is.
Something.
She may need to like to make sure. And actually, on top of that, that's why I have wet wipes in the bathroom.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I noticed.
Just in case to like.
Yeah.
But that's like the biggest thing, is just stay open-minded. Stay open-minded, and attraction and comfort aren't the two only answers for every game scenario.
The girl could be very attracted to you, very, very extremely attracted. She could think you're like hotter than James Bond.
Yeah.
But logistics.
Yeah.
Would you say the same? Or?
Yeah, it's huge.
So we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up with that, guys. We hope you like that. We're gonna keep doing these. We're gonna be replacing Todd. You're no longer gonna see Todd anymore.
On the pickup lab.
On the pickup lab.
JP, Garrett University.
Yeah. Nah, so that would be awesome though. But you will be seeing Todd on 5 of the 6 videos. So me and Garrett only gonna be taking over 1. If you guys like this, we're obviously gonna keep doing this. If you guys relate to us, then we're always going to be here. We'll be there. So we're also going to be we kind of want to keep doing this. We enjoy doing this. So we will see you guys next month in June, May. Yeah, whatever.
One of these months.
One of these months. All right, peace.
All right, hey guys, it's Garrett and JP again.
What's up?
So you guys really liked the last video, so we're gonna make a new one, and this one's gonna be a little bit different. It's gonna be based on a few field reports that we had the past couple nights. The last few nights have like all been connected, just because it's been a crazy collection of events that turned out to be pretty interesting, where we were swapping girls, hot Australians, and then a German girl got involved, and just all this craziness. So we're going to tell you guys about that, and then kind of explain the lessons that we learned from that, and kind of things that we're working on our own game, things that we're noticing, little tweaks for our own game that are helping us. and a few things that we think can really benefit beginners and intermediates as well. Because of the little things that we seem to be noticing. So
we're gonna tell you guys step by step how it happens. So for sure.
All right. So this was Thursday night, a few nights ago, and so JP chilled that night. He just stayed in, did some editing. I headed out with a buddy of mine. We went to this club in like Midtown, like little inner circle meetup, go and chat up with some friends and stuff. And so we go there, and like the second, third set, I see like these two Australian girls, fucking gorgeous. Talked to them for about 10 minutes or so, and they're super into me, so I'm like, all right, so this is good. A couple of my friends go in, they're talking to them for a bit, and I'm kind of noticing that like it's very good in my favor, like the dynamic is in my favor. So they leave for a bit, I go out and I'm chilling. They come back and they mention that they want to go to Meatpacking District, go see the more of the nightlife and all that. We head back to here, we pull them back. We go to like some other club and we're there for a bit. And at this point, I feel that there's like a good amount of investment. At this point, my game is kind of different. I'm trying out new things. And at this point, I'm just assuming a lot of the attraction has been going pretty well. So I'm not necessarily doing a lot. It's just more of being there and showing the right traits and showing the right behaviors. And that is creating all the attraction. So this is essentially what I did this time, and when we brought it back to the apartment, I kind of noticed a different shift. They were definitely liking it, but they weren't necessarily what is it, like a kernel that was like ready to be popped or something,
Yeah, exactly. They weren't like exactly ready at that point.
Yeah, so we bring him here, and the wing that I had like bounced out, and then I brought another wing, and he bounced out. So then I had a third wing, and then me and him and the two Australians come back to the apartment, and we come in here, he's chilling on the couch, we're all shooting the shit, talking, drinking wine, having a good time. And at this point, we come to the rooftop, and we're chilling, this actual rooftop, and for some reason, I couldn't isolate. I mentioned, let's go downstairs and, grab some food or something, And as soon as I did that and we were going to leave, I was bringing my girl down. She mentioned to her friend, oh, hey, we're going to go downstairs and grab some food. And then the friend said, oh, I'll go with you. And then she went with them. So this is probably the biggest thing that I noticed that night. Probably the biggest lesson that I want to share with you guys is, at this point, if they haven't had like the talk yet, that means I fucked up somewhere along that night. Like there was something that I did that night that I messed up on, whether it was escalation, whether it was being clear on my intent, whatever it may be. There was something that I messed up where she didn't have that talk with her friend of, okay, I want to fuck this guy. Because if they did have that conversation, then as soon as I would have said, let's go downstairs to get food, and she would have told her friend that, she would have stayed. Like she would have actively participated in the pull, in the isolation, so her friend can have sex. But that wasn't the case. So as soon as that happened, like we all went downstairs. We go with JP. It's all 5 of us now hanging out in the living room. And at this point, I'm like, fuck, like it's not ready. It's they're not ready to fuck yet. So at this point, JP's kind of chilling. What was the kind of vibe that you noticed?
So when Garrett, I was just like, we have a couch. It's like it's not even a couch. You can't even call it a couch. It's like a big
black cushion.
It's like a big black cushion bed, and Garrett texts me. He's like, hey, I'm pulling. This is things from my end, right? Garrett texts me, hey, I'm pulling. So I set up the place real good. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna set everything up. Everything's real good because we wing each other like that, right? And so he walks in the place, and I noticed that when he came down with the girls, the girls obviously liked him. I have no doubt in my mind the girls liked him. I just don't think that they were that comfortable yet, like, having sex at that point.
Yeah.
But I had no doubt in my mind that these girls were, we're going to have sex.
And I think the biggest thing too was They're from Australia and they're here for like their own American version of like the Euro trip.
Yeah.
And they just weren't ready to stop partying. Like it was 2:00, I think, and I'm thinking, pull. I just, really want to get it in, and I forgot to realize that, these girls are from Australia. Like they're only in New York City for like another 2 nights, so they want to stay and they want to party, So at this point, I was like, all right. I thought in my mind, all right, so I'm gonna have to take them to another club, and then have a little bit more fun with them, go out, all that stuff, and then bring them back. So that's exactly what I did. So JP chilled, me and my wing and the 2 girls, we went to another club, a really nice club, showed them the view, we partied, had a good time. And then we ended up coming back. So I think like 2 hours, another 2 hours passed. So at this point, we've been in the set for like 4 hours or so. And we come back to the apartment, and at this point, my wing doesn't feel like his girl's being very receptive. I know my girl's gonna be down, but his girl, he's not too sure. So he just gives up. He tells JP, what did he tell you? He's
the wing was like, basically, he's like, hey, well, you know what? I think my girl's not really down. I'm just gonna go to sleep. I'm gonna call it a night. That's what he said.
Yeah, he just said he's gonna go to sleep. So at this point, I was on the rooftop with my girl. I think my girl was with me as well.
Yeah.
And went downstairs and he just went.
Don't worry, it's fine. We can we'll talk about the name.
Yeah, he just went to bed, and at this point I was like, all right, so I pretty much did the exact same thing that I did the first time. So I used the whole, we're gonna go downstairs and grab something. But this time it actually worked. So me and the 2 girls were going downstairs, and then I kind of chilled back, and then the friend kind of saw that. I'm assuming that they actually had the conversation this time, and she went downstairs and she left us alone. She actually left us isolated. So at this point, that's when I know that that's what I prefer in my game is for them to actively be participating. It's not always going to happen, of course, but ideally, they're proactive forces in
the pool.
In the pool,
pool, yeah.
Like it's not like this thing where you're just pushing.
They're helping you do it.
Yeah, it's an also thing where they're trying to make it just as easy for you as you are.
They want to have sex with you as well.
Exactly. Yeah. So she went downstairs, and then it was me and her alone. And at that point, that was pretty much it. That was said and done. And we end up, having sex and stuff. And then a few minutes in, while we're having sex, we kind of hear something downstairs, which was kind of nuts. So my wing fell asleep. He's asleep. But his girl went downstairs. But JP's down there editing videos. And all I hear is moaning. The first thing I think of, I even told him this afterwards. The first thing when I heard that girl moan, I was like, JP's fucking. How'd he do it? How'd he do it? It blew my fucking mind. I'm not gonna lie, it blew my mind. But yeah, I go downstairs. Downstairs with my girl after we finish, and then he ended up pulling her. You pulled her straight to the bedroom, right?
Yeah, to the bedroom.
So they went straight to the bedroom from the couch, and then we're chilling on the couch, and we're just hearing them go at it and shit, and we're like, oh goddamn, like this is kind of crazy, because he didn't really put in anything. He didn't put any sort of. She did kind of know him from like the small conversations that we had when we were in the living room. So she kind of saw that he was a cool guy. We're roommates and I'm a cool guy. So she sees the general vibe of who we are and gets the general gist of our lives, And on top of that, she's been partying all night. She's a woman. She likes sex. And they fucked. So exactly how did that go down?
So yeah, basically, Garrett and his girl were up here, and I was just down there editing videos. And so I hear some footsteps coming down because our apartment's a two-story apartment, and then I hear some footsteps coming down the stairwell, and then I see this girl that that Garrett had pulled, because I knew Garrett was up here alone with 2 girls, so I'm like, oh, that's awesome, maybe he can get a threesome or something like that. But then I see this girl come down, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm not really gonna I didn't know if she was on or off, and so I'm just sitting on the couch, and she gets some water, and she asked me, she's like, well, what are you doing right now? And I'm like, I'm editing videos and things like that. And then so she just comes and sits next to me, and she's like watching me edit these like RSD videos, like these RSD videos about game and stuff. And then I'm like, you want to watch? And she was like, yeah, that's fine. So on this couch, we kind of like laid down on the couch. I kind of just like sat back, and we like laid down on the couch. And then that was a big sign to me that, okay, this girl, had she not done that, kind of like what Garrett's been mentioning, and we're going to talk about this more in detail, is had she not, she could have done another thing. She could have just straight up said, no, you know what, I'm fine, we can sit here, you know, but she didn't. She went and sat all the way back with me, so I'm like, okay, to me, I reinterpret that as, okay, this is going to happen. This is, like, almost 100% sure. So then I think I asked her, like, hey, have you ever, like, kissed a Mexican guy? Like, just straight up like that. And then she's like, no, I haven't. And right from there, like, the way she looked at me in my eyes, I was just like, okay. So I just started making out with her and things like that. And so slowly from there, I started escalating, like, okay, is she okay with me doing this? A, B, C, D. And then I got to the point where I was, like, grabbing her, like, you know, in the pussy, basically.
Grab her by the pussy.
I was grabbing her by the pussy like Trump and him. And
mind you, I also want to note this is happening pretty fast. Like, by the time she went downstairs, and then like we already started fucking for like maybe 2-3 minutes. All of this, I already hear the moaning.
Yeah.
Like, so this is going by pretty fast.
Yeah, the whole thing, like, the minute I saw her to, like, the minute I was, like, inserting my dick inside, it was, like, maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes. But it's not like I just met her for those 2-3 minutes. I had already had conversations with her. Yeah. She didn't know exactly who I was, but like Garrett said, you know, we're cool guys. You know, we're just hanging out there, and she kind of knew who I was. And also, you know, I'm a friend of Garrett, so Garrett had the value in the set. So, you know, things like that just kind of happened to me. And so, so boom, we're having sex, and after that, you know, I think I pulled her. I'm fucking her on the couch, and then I pulled her to my bedroom, and we have sex, and it was a good night.
Yeah. The biggest thing that I want to note here, and I'm actually going to mention this for the second field report that we're about to give right now, because it's involving the same girls, which is what's so crazy. Is this is the biggest thing for you guys that are actively trying to learn game, is the subtle levels that we're paying attention to. We don't look at these huge indicators of interest, these huge IOIs.
More so, we don't need
those things. A lot of guys, like,
Yeah.
this is the perfect example. Like, a lot of guys are like expecting this level of IOI, like the girl's touching the leg, or the girl's like just flat out says she likes him, or she kisses him, or she like caresses his head or something. Yeah, all this crazy stuff. Like, they need that amount of interest, IOI, to think that she likes him. What we need is about right here, because that's what most girls are going to do. They're not going to do these huge, crazy things. They're going to do these very small levels.
Unless she's not hot, by the way. If she's like a 6 or a 5, she's gonna give you these like massive indicators.
Yeah, some girls will just throw themselves at you. But for really attractive girls, they're gonna give you these very small things a lot of the times, and hope that you are on that level of communication, that you're understanding all those things. And if you are, once you do more and more game, and you get all these reference experiences, and you start becoming more and more of a cool guy, you'll start noticing these little things and be on the exact same kind of communication level as her. And so these little things would be something like what JP was saying earlier. You know, she had many decisions that she could have made, but she decided to lay back next to him. If she didn't, here's the thing: is there's multiple avenues that girls can take with their actions. They know very well where their the effects of what they do. They know where their actions are going to lead. And I mean, that's how they're built. They're social creatures. So if they lay back on the bed, that's leaning more towards sex than it is, you know, if she just didn't do that and decided to stay standing up.
Not having sex.
Yeah, exactly. If she didn't want to do that, she would. It's not like it's so difficult for that not to happen. She has no problem figuring out a way for it to not happen. She just wouldn't lay down, or she just wouldn't. Exactly. If when he asked her, have you ever kissed a Mexican before, she wouldn't have said, no, I haven't, the way she did.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's all these little tiny things that we pay attention to. The eye contact, the facial expressions when they do it, how their bodies are oriented. We just notice all these little subcommunications, and that gives us that gives us enough IOI, so to speak, to know that they're interested. Because I know a lot of guys, if they were in JP's position, they wouldn't have fucked. They would it never would have happened, because
their heads in like la la land.
Yeah, there wasn't enough attraction, or there wasn't enough comfort, or I didn't get IOIs, or any of these like weird things.
They're thinking logically when they should be thinking, "Wow, this girl's beautiful. I really want to be with her right now."
Yeah, they're not paying attention to the right form of communication. So, and I'm also going to mention this in the next field report, because I think this is so huge, and this is going to help a lot of you guys. All right, so 2 nights pass, and now it's Saturday night. And so I meet up with these. Obviously, the 2 Australian girls are still here. It's their last night here. After the night that we all fucked, I added them on Snapchat. I always add girls on Snapchat so they can see everything. I add them on Instagram, so we all have like a connection. And so after that, that's done. So then I meet up with this German girl that I've been talking to, and we meet up in meatpacking, and then. We're going out for about 30 minutes. I end up pulling her pretty fast. I come back to the apartment. I close. It was pretty solid, pretty fast. But at this point, we're hanging out. We were there for a while, and then it's about maybe 3 o'clock at this point, 3:30, and I get a Snapchat from one of the Australian girls, the girl that I fucked, and she says, "Where are you?" And I tell her, I'm back at my pad, and she goes, "Let's hang out," And so I tell her, I'm about to go to the deli. I'm about to grab a snack if you guys want to meet up somewhere. And so I'm trying to like figure this all out, because I got this girl with me that's like still naked. Like I'm trying to get at her. Like I'm not a dick, but I want her to kind of go so I can hang out with these girls. Because I really like the girl that he fucked. I don't want the girl that I already fucked. I want the other one. So, they're very adventurous, and the frame, at this point, everything's set very well. So we have an adventurous, non-judgmental type of frame. We are those kind of guys that would do something like, fuck other girls and stuff. So it's not like something so far-fetched where it's going to be like a random...
like we're not used to it.
Yeah, it's not going to be like this random shot in the dark. Like, it's going to be... it's going to seem very normal for them.
Exactly.
So I figure, I'm gonna do that. So the German girl, she gets dressed. I get dressed. It's like 3:45 now at this point, and we go downstairs and we go to this pizza spot, this very popular pizza spot here in this area. And I see them. I'm with the German girl, and then I see the 2 Australian girls, and then a bunch of like pickup guys, and they're all hitting on the 2 Australian girls. And at this point, the German girl starts talking to Australian girls, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of weird, because like 2 girls that I fucked are like talking, and I want the 3rd one now. So I'm like, all right, what's gonna go down? And I noticed that the Australian girl that I fucked, hopefully you guys are still like like keeping up with all this. The the Australian girl that I fucked is now flirting with some other guy, a guy that I know. And I'm all cool with it. Like, I'm not trying to be protective or anything. I can give a fuck less. And I tell the guy, like, yeah, she's cool. Like, and I tell her, like, yeah, he's cool. I don't mind. Like, y'all are good. And we're all just having a good time. And they want to pull, but he wants to fuck, but he doesn't have a place to go. So I let him know, like, hey, my pads, or no, we're good here. And he's like, all right, dope. So, those 2 they start walking, and then this is when it started getting like little sketchy. Is the girl that he fucked, the other Australian, wasn't really having it. She's like, this is kind of weird. Like, should I just get an Uber? Should I just go back? Because she sees that like I'm openly all right with them like fucking, and then like literally bringing them into the apartment so they can fuck, even though I just fucked her. It's like this weird dynamic. I guess it was too much for her. But I just assumed that it was normal. I assumed comfort. I comfort. I'm like, oh, it's no big deal. It's just no worries. I really don't care. It's not a big deal. Where most guys would be like, oh, like this and that, we're protective. So I just showed her like it's completely normal. And I told her, oh yeah, just come. It'll be no problem. And so us four, we started walking over, and we came here, said bye to the German girl, which is kind of awkward, but so all four of us came here, and this is where it kind of got sticky, and this is another really big point that I want to help you guys with. When we came here, JP was actually here. He was in the living room, and so he ran into the bedroom to kind of like stay low, because if she would have seen the Australian girl that I was trying to fuck, if she would have seen the guy that she fucked already when I'm trying to fuck her, it's gonna set this weird slut defense.
It would have made it harder than it needed to.
Yeah, exactly. That's a perfect way to put it. It would have made it a lot harder than it needed to be. So he was like the MVP and like stayed low. He stayed in the room, and that way, you know, out of sight, out of mind. And we went up to the rooftop, us four. We chilled for a bit, drinking wine, hanging out. And so at this point, my wing is talking to the girl I fucked 2 nights ago, and I'm talking to the girl that he fucked 2 nights ago. But I'm noticing that, you know, those two are down, but me and this girl, like, I know she likes me. I know she does. I'm an attractive guy. I've seen the signs. I know that she likes me. But at this point, like, she's just giving me a lot of shit tests. She's like, oh, I need to get an Uber. What's the Wi-Fi password? I need to get an Uber. We should go back. And it fluctuates between that and then like hanging out and bantering and having a good time. And so at this point, you know, I'm like, hey, I don't know the Wi-Fi password. Let's go downstairs to the router. And she's down with it, and we go downstairs. And as soon as we isolate, I know that it's a go, because as soon as we're isolated, these two are gonna start fucking, which is exactly what happened. Like 2 minutes later passed, we're downstairs, looking at the router. We're like kneeling down all close, you know, trying to figure it out. And this is another big lesson I want to mention. So what I mentioned before with JP, where he noticed those little small subtle things about like he didn't need all these huge IOIs, he just needed these very small subtle signs. That's essentially the exact same thing. That's the exact same way I fucked the same girl, which is what's so mind-blowing, because that girl didn't give a lot of IOIs. That was just her. That's just how she was. That was her blueprint. That was just her personality. She didn't give him a lot of IOIs. She didn't give me a lot of IOIs, but she gave us just enough to where we know that we're good. So for example, we're kneeling down and she's holding her phone like this, and you know, I put my hand around her hand to try to find like the exact correct Wi-Fi, and she doesn't move it. Like, I'm holding her hand in her phone for like 15 seconds, and she could very well move her hand, but she doesn't. She keeps it here. Now, for a lot of guys, they're gonna look at that and they're just not gonna register the significance of that. But I want you guys to understand that there's thousands of options that girls have. They know what does and what doesn't lead to sex. Yeah. What will and will not lead to sex. If they're not interested, if they really don't want to have sex, they will ensure that they don't give those signs. So if I put my hand around her hand while I'm looking through her phone to get the Wi-Fi, she would just give me the phone and not let me touch her hand. But we were holding hands for like 15 seconds. So it's like these little tiny things that I'm noticing. That I'm like, okay, so she's comfortable with this. That's good. And so after that, like, we're getting very close. We're talking. And then next thing you know, like, we're hearing the other Australian in my wing start fucking. We're hearing like the thuds and all this stuff. We're hearing the moans. Shit sounds like it's breaking and shit. And you know, at this point, like, for some reason, I don't know why, but that just gets you sexually going. Like, when you hear other people fuck, it just like gets us going. So me and her now are like, it just like boosts up the sexual tension tons. And then from here, I go to he accidentally opens the door somehow. I don't know what happened. It was like a breeze or something. But I go hurry up and close the door, and she's like, "Oh, what's going on?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I think we're too loud." And then the people fucking. Let's go inside my room. And so I go inside my room. I close the door, and at this point, this is another thing that I noticed. She could have easily not gone inside the bedroom. This is a girl alone with a guy. They're not dumb. Girls are not dumb. If she didn't want to get closer to sex, she could have easily stayed in the living room. She could have easily done something else. We go on the bed, I lay on the bed, she lays on the bed with me. She could have easily stood up or sat in the chair or whatever it is. And then the final cherry on top was, I take out my laptop and I ask her to play a song. I actually often do this when I want to see like how a girl's vibe is, what she's into right now. And she scrolls through the music, and then out of all songs that she could have played, she played Frank Ocean's Nights. The song's called Nights, which is a super like
sexual kind.
That's a sexual fucking song.
Yeah.
And here's another thing. Once again, if she didn't want to have sex, or if she wasn't even remotely like, I don't want it to be that black and white. I don't want to explain it that way. Like, oh, she played that, so that means she wants to have sex. That's not the point we're trying to make. The point is, she could have played anything.
She could have played Katy Perry.
Yeah, she could have played anything, but she played something that would lean more towards that result. And she's not afraid of if that result became true. And if she didn't want that to happen, she could easily play something else that steers away from that result. But instead, she's subtly going towards sex. So she plays that, and after that, I'm like, all right, that's all I need to know. Like, I notice all these little tiny things. Of course, other guys, they notice, they're like, at this point, they're like, oh, it's not enough IOIs. I don't think she's interested. I'm not getting these big things, these big IOIs. You don't need that. We noticing these small things, and that was enough. And so I started, kissing her neck, making out, and right after that, we just started going at it. Like, she was crazy. Like, obviously, he knows how she fucks. We both fuck the same girl. She's legit crazy. And this is what's so nuts is, on the surface, she was very reserved. She was very cutesy. Dressed nice. Carried herself a certain way. But then all of a sudden, you escalate on her, and then she just goes wild, absolutely wild. And had a very good night. And that was the biggest lesson that I think we both learned, was the really extreme subtlety, the nuance of interest that girls will show. All right, guys. So hope you guys got a lot of value from that report, and the things that we're working on. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time.